All right, so this question is testing two kind of key ideas. The first thing that I would notice and think about is sentence structure. The punctuation matters. Are we going to need a strong punctuation mark like a colon or a period, a punctuation mark that we need to separate two complete sentences? Or can we go with a weaker punctuation mark like a comma or, in this case, nothing at all, that would let us join two clauses together or kind of merge things that don't need to stand alone? So I'm reading this part here with the idea of just like, where do sentences begin and end? What am I dealing with? So let's take a look. We're going to start with Hopper here because that's the first part of his new sentence. Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations. Right? That could be a sentence. Now, I don't know whether the though is part of that or not, but I do see that it's kind of an irrelevant little afterthought, and the main sentence is complete with or without it, right? Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations. I could put a period there. So, I don't know. That means we're at least starting off with some sort of complete thought. Now I'm going to skip the though because again, that's going to go somewhere, but it's not the way the punctuation is set up here. It's always going to be some sort of extra piece. I don't know where it's extra, but it's extra somewhere. So as I continue, I see as a pioneering computer programmer, that's an extra clause, Hopper would help usher in the digital age. So right here is the problem. That's its own sentence. Hopper would help usher in the digital age, right? That could stand alone. Capital letter, period, is his own sentence. So we're not allowed to do this. We cannot have two complete thoughts joined together with just a comma or a word like though. We need something stronger. So this is going to get rid of choices D and B right away. Now, though is kind of a connector transition-y word, and so that it kind of fits in our mind maybe with words like and but and so that are conjunctions that can join two sentences with a comma, but that's because they're small words. Longer words like though or however, they need a little bit more help. They're going to need something like a colon, a semicolon, a period. They need more. So the B and D are they're going to create run-on sentences, and so that's going to be a problem. Now we have to think about whether or not the though is part of the second sentence here, right? This is the second sentence, or the third sentence. And we're going to need the first sentence to kind of help us figure that out. So I honestly don't care that I have either a period or a colon. There's no distinction now in my mind between those two things. Sometimes a colon is basically just functioning like a period, and so it doesn't really matter which one is right. If I didn't have a complete sentence at the end, then the colon would need to be used because a colon can be used to attach an extra thing to a complete sentence. But since they're both complete sentences, the colon is totally fine, but so is the period. So it's tricky. This is complicated. I need to think about where the contrast is happening in the sentence because that's what the word though does. So let's look at the first part. In 1943, in the midst of World War II, mathematics professor Grace Hopper was recruited by the U.S. military to help the war effort by solving complex equations. So that's positive. Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations. Right? So they're saying that she was hired to help with equations, but her career would be more than that. Right? So the but seems to fit between sentence 1 and sentence 2. It's not that sentence 2 is negative per se, but it's negative in relation to the first, right? It is kind of contrasting with the idea. She was hired for one reason, but her career is bigger than that. So the but seems to fit with that. Let's just continue. As a pioneering computer programmer, Hopper would help usher in the digital age. Well, that's also positive in a simple sense, but more importantly, it is an example of what sentence 2 is saying, right? Her career is more than just equations. Here's an example. She was a pioneering computer programmer as well. So what this all means is that the word though is being used to show a shift between sentence 1 and sentence 2. So we need the transition to be in sentence 2 so that it can go back and kind of transition from sentence 1. And choice A puts though with the previous idea. Choice C is putting it with sentence 3, and so that's why we need choice A. Personally, I think that if we really wanted to show a contrast between sentence 1 and sentence 2, the best place to put the contrast word would be at the beginning of sentence 2, not at the end. So in my mind, this is poor writing that was purposely designed in this SAT question to mess with you. It's perfectly grammatically correct to do this, but if you are trying to get your point across, I think you'd probably be more clear and put the though where it belongs, where most people would look for it. This is what the SAT is doing. They're messing with your expectations a little bit, and so we need to be on the lookout for that. But if we break this question down into two components, the grammar component of sentence structure and punctuation, and then this kind of more ideas component, where's the shift happening in the sentence, that might help us hopefully get to the right answer. But this is a very, very difficult question.